All right, let's go ahead and get started then. My name is Austin. I am the onboarding manager here at Parim. So my job is to assist clients such as yourselves. Maybe some of you we've worked together, but yeah, to assist clients such as yourselves to start getting to use Parim, familiarize yourself with its features, the possibilities, and then ease your team in, making that implementation process of a new software a lot easier and organized. So that's where my job comes in. Today, I'm going to be hosting a webinar on mastering Parim's reporting and absences, and how you manage those absences within the various pages within Parim, with any sort of holidays, that's kind of settings, etc. Excuse me. And also joining me alongside is my colleague Alo. So he is our CS manager. If you have any questions during today's webinar, feel free to leave that in the chat and he'll be happy to answer them for you. Otherwise, I'll be basically sharing my screen, running through demos on how to utilize the reports within Parim, and we'll be good to go. You should see my screen currently, so let's get started with that. All right. Again, welcome to Parim. Welcome to today's webinar on mastering reports and absences. Let's see. On today's agenda, what I'm going to be doing in a few moments is I'm going to be switching over the screen to our demo site where I can start showing and demoing these reports. So I'm going to do a general overview. You may or may not be familiar with some of our reports. In addition, some of these reports you might not actually have seen before. I'm going to be going into details on the various reports that are available to the various different subscriptions that Parim offers. So if you see something that you're not familiar with, then just be aware that that might be in a upper plan. Of course, we'd be happy to discuss that with you in a one-on-one call to, if that's something that you want with your organization. So don't be too alarmed, but we'll be going over those general reports within Parim. Then we'll be moving into some financial reports such as the invoicing report and revenue summary. I'm going to be breaking down what data within Parim is collected in order to build these reports, because there's definitely certain settings that need to be completed or set up in order to really utilize those reports to their fullest. Then we're going to be going into the absence management section of today's call. So this is going to be with regards to any sort of vacation, holiday time off, or potential, sick leaves, etc., that sort of thing. So I'll be showing you how to set up those absences, how to manage them, how to get a reporting off of those. And then finally, the final, reporting section that we're going to be seeing is going to be the canceled shifts. So, if this comes in the case where, again, any sort of sick leave or shifts, your client itself, it needs to cancel those shifts themselves, or no longer needs the shifts, then you can start doing reports and retrospective understanding on where changes can possibly be made. Yeah, sort of went over it in general, but we're going to be going over timesheet summary, time clock, checkpoints. This is checkpoints real quick is something that some of you may or may not have. It's a paid additional feature within Parim, but I will still go over it for the sake of understanding. Then absences, absence summary, position coverage, action history, revenue summary, excuse me, invoicing report, and then canceled shifts, as I mentioned earlier. But let's go ahead and go into the actual site and start running through these reports. Okay, so what you're seeing here is the dashboard. I'm sure you're all very familiar with it. If you have admin or some sort of role, assigned a role within Parim, you're going to be having this type of view when you jump right in. So pretty standard information. What we're going to be going over is the reports drop down right down here. And again, that first one that I went over is going to be the timesheet summary. So timesheet summary right here, one sec. So the benefits of the timesheet summary is it's going to give you a general overview. And again, it's just simply a summary. So it's not going to give you the full breakdown. If you want to get a full breakdown of these and start making adjustments, you can definitely utilize the timesheets list over here. This would also allow you to approve timesheets, adjust them if necessary. The timesheet summary report that we're looking at right now gives you just gives that, you like it says, it's a summary of all the shifts that you currently have within, say, selected time frame. Within this report page, you have the ability to, of course, utilize the filters, break down the locations, the positions, any sort of departments. If you're utilizing a variety of employment types, such as temporary labor, student staff, student labor, et cetera, that sort of thing, you can then, of course, filter based off of those. We then have some boxes that you can take. So with violations, this would maybe be if you have them set up as, say, a no-show, or they've overworked their set up hour limit. So again, with the employment type of student worker, if they're only allowed to work, say, 20 hours a week or something like that, and then they violated that, you would be able to see some with that if you tick that box. Of course, shifts or jobs. Typically with most of my clients, we're typically operating with just shifts. Quick note, the difference between shifts and jobs is shifts have a starting date and time with an ending date and time. A job just has a simple starting date and an ending date. So something needs to be accomplished within that day, just so you know. What we then have is we have the ability to then group the options. I'm going to go over these now. You're going to start seeing them in a lot of these other pages, so they're going to be very familiar, but let me explain them now. You have the ability to group the information. So right now they're currently just grouped based off of the person being the employee. Then, of course, you can group it based off of location or position. Definitely, I would say if you are looking to get some information against your client in particular, because locations are linked to clients within Parim, that is one way to get that information against your clients, is grouping it by location. Then on the right side of that, you're going to have your columns. So of course, right now we have a lot of good general information. We can then break it down if you want to, based off of position, based off of any sort of the event information, if you're utilizing events, if you have that feature enabled within Parim. Of course, or you can also remove a lot of these columns to keep it very simple. So you even to summarize the timesheet summary, essentially. So you can utilize that. And then, of course, on the right-hand side of that, you can save that view. By what saving the view means is, you've set up all these various filters. You want it for last week, you want it for a specific department, and you want it for a certain employment type. Rather than having to go in and set up all those filters every single time you go into this, you have the ability to save that view. And then, of course, then be able to quickly reference it again without having to adjust multiple fields. Once that view has been saved, you just be able to simply click on this previous week. Previous week in this case is just the title of it. You would simply give it a title. This is previous week 2, for an example. So you would be able to quickly reference this. I just wanted to go into the details of those sort of settings because, like I said before, we're going to be going into all the other reports, and this is a pretty familiar layout, so I don't have to go over it each time. That being said, that pretty much summarizes the timesheet summary. Let's go over into the time clock report. With regards to time clock report, looks like we don't have any data for here, but we'll do current holiday. Yeah, just to get some more information. So the main point of the time clock report here under the reports drop down is to really see where any particular problems are. Of course, you do have the ability to look at the time clock, and there are, again, timesheet list is a good place to, say, approve timesheets. Time clock itself is a good place to see live clocking in and clocking out information with the additional benefit of approving shifts, or excuse me, approving timesheets. But the time clock within the reporting page section is going to allow you to see if there's any sort of conflicts or issues. Conflicts or issues, I mean by, like, say they've clocked in late, or they've performed overtime, or they have left early. Again, we have the ability to then group those based off of person. So if you're starting to see one particular employee is always leaving early, one particular person is always late, that is one way to easily group it. Or if you would like to group it by location, because that is something you want to track it again, to that example I used before, to track it with regards to that client and their location, etc. Then you can group it like that. Oh, one thing I did forget to mention before in that last timesheet summary when I was going over the viewing settings is you have the added benefit of also printing and exporting these. So again, if you want to get some sort of timesheet summary and then set it up in the view that you're happy with and then export it, and then provide it to your clients, provide it to your employees, then you can certainly do so from these pages as well. Yeah, being said, what I was going into earlier is that the time clock is utilized for any sort of issues. So we can see here for a few of these particular employees in our demo site that they did show up, they did clock in late, and we then can break that information down. We can see the exact plan time, and it looks like they clocked in 56 minutes late, later than they should have. And you can get that sort of information here. And then, of course, if they clocked in, or if they left early, we can also do that same information. So we're seeing that for this particular employee that they left. They left a little bit, or sorry, they clocked in early, clocked in late, excuse me. That being said, that pretty much sums up the time clock. So let's go into one of the reports that may or may not be relevant to everyone that's attending today's webinar. This is going to be the checkpoints section here. So if we go into checkpoints, and then I just need to, due to lack of data on our demo site, I just need to go back a few years. We'll do this, call it good. So with regards to checkpoints, if you're unfamiliar with that feature within Parim, checkpoints is typically used for security industry. If there's a route that needs to be taken, this allows there to be evidence that an employee has gone to everywhere on, say, a construction job site or a property, and really, done their due diligence to make sure that the whole location is secure, no issues. So Parim offers offers a tag that can be added, put on location, which can be scanned or tapped with a smartphone, and this allows you to check in on those checkpoints. And so we do have checkpoints under here. I will not be going over that today. However, I will be going over the reporting feature of that. As you're seeing here. So we can just simply check on the various checkpoints that have occurred. We can see who's used checkpoints. We'll see, so Paul, in this case, he's gone ahead and he's done it for these particular shifts. These are the times that he has done those checkpoints. We can also see which ones are successful and which ones are unsuccessful. So we're seeing a 92% success rate. So this means that in this particular location, for these particular employees, they were making their checkpoint on time, for most of those. We'll go to, okay, sorry, this one here. And it looks like, yeah, so this is a good example of that missed checkpoint we're seeing for Ingrid of that employee. So this is one way to get a good overview. Again, you can then filter it based off of locations. You can then, which is a good way to then pass on that information to your client to show that we do have a 100% success rate for checking in on all locations. If there's an issue, it's certainly not from me or my team, and that's one way of utilizing that checkpoints report. We then have the absences and the absence summary. I'm going to be going over those in a few moments once we really focus on absences as a topic in general. So let's go ahead and go over to the position coverage. All right, so position coverage is pretty much as it's titled. This allows you to get a good overview of your current shifts and which ones are still waiting for pretty much waiting for coverage. As we're seeing here, we have a color coding. We have green for confirmed. We have orangish color for waiting, and then this blue color for applications. This allows you to quickly understand what sort of status you are at covering these shifts and covering these positions by simply giving you that quick overview. In addition to that, this would also give you these a variety of other columns for financial information, you know, total shifts numbers, the position itself, if you're utilizing tags, excuse me, then you have those areas, etc. Again, giving you all those benefits of custom columns, adjustments, custom views, and your filtering capabilities to get you that information that you need in order to make sure that your shifts are being covered, all your employees' applications for shifts are being accepted or denied, and that you can guarantee your clients that someone will be there for that shift because you've gone through and you've been able to get that information to yourself right away and easily. So that is one way you can certainly check. Another place real quick is you can also click another benefit or another feature within Parim to check the status of how full your shifts are is also certainly through the shifts list. I'm not going to be going over that today at this moment, but these two are definitely two really good places to manage your shifts, manage their coverage as well. Going into then the revenue summary. So revenue summary is going to allow you to get that comparative information, that margin within Parim for your shifts, what's been completed and what's been clocked, etc. The number one thing I do want to state though is in order to really utilize that revenue summary and then also to utilize the invoicing report, which I will go over in a moment, is to make sure that you are setting up your charge rules as well. Of course, the majority of my clients, the bare minimum is typically setting up pay rules. A lot of the clients are really happy at that level. They don't really need to take that additional step for the charge rules. However, if you're doing that, the benefits of having that is you're going to be having all your information within Parim, so it's easily brought over to your invoicing financial software such as Xero or QuickBooks or whatnot. That way, you don't have to do the math separately. You have already right from the bat, you have the shift being filled in, the employee is clocking in, clocking out. They have, with them clocking in and clocking out, you're getting then their payroll information, and you're getting the information that you would then need to charge your clients and of course set up that invoice. So there is definitely benefits of doing that. In addition to doing that setup process, you're going to be able to utilize this revenue summary and of course the invoice reports, which I will go over in a moment. Again, so you'll be able to break down that information. Again, we have all those additional filters so you can see the time frames. Okay, in this case, this is the save view. So there are no current save views in this page, so it is showing blank. But that is exactly how you can do it. So you can have various save views for particular clients. So if you have a VIP client, you can have them and their revenue summary so you can get that quickly without having to do any adjustments. If you have it for departments, if you have it for any sort of location, set up those save views and you'll be able to quickly see which location, which client is bringing in the best revenue for you. And then of course, if you want to, you can then export that and then do some comparative data. And then, okay, real quick, I will go over the invoicing report because that's quite related. And then we'll come back to the last report on this page. So with regards to invoicing report, This again is going to be this is certainly against the charge rules. You will not be able to really utilize the charge rules within Param without having, or excuse me, you won't be able to utilize the invoicing report without setting up those charge rules. Again, otherwise the information you're going to be having here is going to be all zeros. This gives you that more breakdown. This is definitely our more up-to-date format for filters and everything like that. So we are utilizing this layout and starting to work and build up the rest of the system to look similar to like this. The benefits of this is you have even further filterability. Anything that's being tracked within the system, as you're seeing here, tags, positions, people, margins. We have margins for actual like dollar amounts, as well as margins for percentage amounts. You can start seeing those within here. Again, you should be able to also see those within the revenue summary. You also have you can filter it based off the days. You can filter it by the charge codes, etc. So you can have this. You can then still also have the ability to export the information. Still have the ability to save those views. And then, but in this case, you actually have the ability to then share this with others. So if it's more relevant for an entire accounting department to see, one person can set that up and the rest of them can easily access it. That way, everyone's looking at the same number. You don't have a chance where someone did a slightly different filter and therefore is getting an incorrect financial output. Going back then over into the actual reports then is the final report under this particular, our little report dropdown is the actions history. So this is definitely relevant to any admin, any manager within your organization. This is something that I routinely go over with my clients so they can understand what it is. This is the action history is essentially the change log. Any action that has been done with regards to a shift, an employee, an event, a location, checkpoints, anything done to a timesheet, anything like that is going to be shown up in the actions history. This allows you to get the information. Okay, who's made this particular change, especially if it pertains to a shift. That shift has actually been changed from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Okay, why has it been changed to 10 a.m. and who's done that change? And when did they make that change? This is exactly the kind of place where you would be going within Param to see that information. And then, of course, proceed accordingly, whether it's unfortunately a bad thing or fortunately a good thing. So this is certainly something that should be brought up. And I like to emphasize to all my clients. One thing is as well is when you go into your dashboard, when you log in at every single day, you'll be able to see the actions, the latest actions right down there. So we see that I've just made a couple of adjustments with regards to an absence, which I'm going to be going over in a few moments. So it's definitely something to be aware of. It is equally as useful as every other report within Param. All right, let's see. That being said, let's go over there's two more sections. We're going to be going over absences and then we're going to be going over canceled shifts. I'm going to save absences for right after canceled shifts because canceled shifts can be overviewed real quick. So with regards to canceled shifts, so this is going to be located under the schedule here, and you're going to be seeing canceled shifts. So canceled shifts allows you to see exactly what it said. If there's been any sort of shifts in regards to your calendar that have been removed, changed, deleted, anything like that from your calendar, this would be added here. There is also an additional setting that I highly recommend turning on that would require that a reason be left for any sort of canceled shifts. This allows you to really understand why a shift was canceled. In this case, planned school closure. In this case, someone was a no-show. So if John Doe was scheduled for 10 a.m. You keep calling him, keep calling him, keep calling him. He's still not showing up. You can then cancel his shift. You can mark it as a no-show, and then you can also mark it as unavailability. So this means that John might have missed his 10 a.m. shift, but you start seeing him apply for a 3 p.m. shift. But unfortunately, John Doe has created a negative history, so you make it so he won't be able to apply for any more shifts for a particular time frame. So this allows you to really track that information. Some good examples of this is I have a particular client who uses this canceled shifts for tracking against and keeping their clients in check, in a sense. They have one particular location and one particular client that is consistently canceling shifts off for them. So they are taking the time to create the shift within Parim, finding the staff, getting the staff assigned to that shift, and the staff is ready to go, etc. And then all of a sudden the team or the client themselves decides, oh, we no longer need you, and it's becoming a consistent issue. Utilizing this cancellation report, canceled shift reports, excuse me, you can then filter it out based off the location that we're seeing here. And again, locations are linked to clients, and then you can make that association. And then of course, have the ability to report it, filter it, show that client, hey, this has been an issue. We are starting to, starting to lose money due to this, et cetera, et cetera. You can start utilizing that. You have that information. It's being tracked within Parim. That being said, let's go ahead and move into the final section, the final topic of today's webinar, which is the absences. So let's go into the absences reports that we're seeing here. And we will do, let's see, current holiday year. So absences gives you a general overview of who's requested absences, who have had absences, the reasoning behind it, the information with regards to hours or days, and then additionally any sort of pay rate information with those. So you can easily just quickly reference it. You can break them down, as you can see, based off of the absence type. Was this a particular holiday? In this case, over here in Estonia, there are 2 different holidays. For each calendar year, an employee must at least have 1 holiday for more than 14 days. So that is something that's broken down. Within the system settings, you can go ahead and customize these to however it works for you and your organization, or how your local regulations are enforced, or et cetera, or how they're set up, excuse me. So you can certainly set up your paid ones, you can set up your unpaid ones. These are also alongside those cancellation reasons. So you can I would definitely recommend going to the system settings and exploring that a bit more. So yeah, you can be able to filter this out, break it down, adjust the columns as you're seeing. In this case, all of them are being shown. You can just break it down to the general information that you might need. Then we have the absence summary. That is just a more summed up version of this. We're giving, so Abram Smith in this particular, he's allowed 28 days. It's giving you that comparative information. Within Parim, you can set up holiday allowance, which can be accumulative. So that is something that can be done. And then as you're seeing, some employees have accumulated quite a bit more. And then how many have been taken, how many were booked, how many were requested, et cetera. So it gives you that quick summary that we're seeing. Again, with everything else, you have the ability to adjust the columns, save the view, and also export it if necessary. Now that gives you the summary. What is the process of actually setting up an absence, managing absences, and also deleting absences? So this would actually be under the absences module or tab right here. By clicking on that, that'll bring us to our absences page. It's going to list off all your employees, all your people that you're seeing. So in this case, Abram Smith has requested 5 days off for a holiday. And how that is done is there's 2 ways of that being done. There's one way of, which I'll show you in a moment, is as an admin, we can go in and create an absence. Absence, whether it's a holiday, a no-show, sick leave, etc. Or the employee themselves can actually set up an absence or do an absence request through their employee portal. This could be done for the employee is via the web browser or of course through the app as well. But let's go ahead and set up such an absent for just an employee as an admin. So we could simply go ahead and add an absence that we're seeing here, and we can then select the individual. So we would do, again, maybe we'll do at Abram Smith, and we'll select the absence type, and we will state this as a paid with, you know, a 5-day minimum. And then we will then select the amount of days. We'll just add this. We'll start this next month, and we'll go from here to, so we had the 29th. So we'll go till the 7th, something like that. And that's going to give us our information. With regards to Abram, he does have some pay rate information against him. So we're going to be seeing what the total holiday vacation pay would be totaled out to, and we can get that information right there. We have then ability to save it already or also approve it. So let's go ahead and just simply approve it. We're seeing a different color coding. As we're seeing here, this is unapproved. So we can then, this would be the layout as if Abram had requested it himself. So we have the ability to delete it, we have the ability to reject it, and also the ability to approve it. Rejecting it is as easy as clicking the reject. Whoops, excuse me. There we go. And rejecting it such as that. Then what we have additionally, as we're seeing, we then get the updated information with this for any sort of, so again, if you remember a moment ago, we saw that Abram had 28 days. Now, based off of that holiday, we have the 20. Let me see. All right. Then with regards to the reports and absences, I believe actually that comes to the end. Again, while I'm already here, on the left-hand side is all the very familiar filters, the save view, etc., that you are going to be seeing throughout Parim. So you can definitely utilize that. We actually most recently updated the absences page here. So this is actually relatively new. And again, if you, as I said earlier, we are working to get this kind of user-friendly layout throughout the whole system. So it's definitely something to look forward to. It's just, Parim is just going to keep getting better from here, especially from an admin standpoint. So especially managing your shifts, managing your absences, and managing your financials is just gonna, like I said, gonna get easier. That being said, that pretty much sums it up for today. I am going to go ahead and leave the webinar open for a few more minutes. If there's any remaining questions, we can go ahead and answer them. Otherwise, I'm really grateful for all of you for joining. And if you're maybe not thought of any questions during the webinar, but start playing around with your system, start doing something, and it's not as well maybe as you saw it, you can always reach out to our support team. One way is either support@parim.co.uk, or down in the bottom right here is the messenger, excuse me. This will create a direct message to our support team. They are typically pretty fast at responding, and they're a very knowledgeable bunch, so they're happy to answer all of your questions. If necessary, I am always available for paid consultation, so I'll be happy to help and understand your organization, and then instruct you and consult you on how you and your team can utilize Parim's features in a more bespoke manner. Again, it was really happy to have this webinar. I will keep it open for a few more minutes to help answer some questions, but otherwise, thank you for attending.